In my role as a consultant and a trainer, I have literally been in thousands of different organizations. And what they all tell me is when they look to hire people or to promote people, they want to make sure that they can solve problems. And they want them to be able to solve problems in a systematic and an organized way. My late father-in-law, when we would go golfing and I would hit a good shot once in a while, he would say to me, even a blind squirrel can find a nut once in a while. That's why they want to make sure that they can solve problems, their employees can solve problems in a systematic and organized way. And one of those things they particularly look for is their ability to solve the real problem. To dig away the stuff from the top, get down below the ground, and find the root of the problem, to solve the root cause. They look for people who can do root cause analysis. The root cause analysis, RCA, is a critical issue when it comes to solving problems. 10 years ago, I got sick. My son brought home a virus from school. He had it for a couple of days, gave it to me, and I got really sick from it. It was Thursday when I started feeling poorly. Friday, all weekend long, I felt horrible. I thought I had the flu. My wife convinced me on Tuesday to go to the doctor. Went to the doctor, saw the PA, saw the physician's assistant, and she swabbed me for the flu. It wasn't the flu. So she took blood, analyzed it there in the office, and determined it wasn't bacterial, but it was a virus, some virus. They didn't identify what the virus was, just some virus. So here's what she said to me. She said, it's acting like the flu. It's presenting like the flu. Go home and continue to treat it like the flu. Okay. So she listened to my lungs. They were okay. Sent me home, continued treating it like the flu. So that was Tuesday. Wednesday felt worse. Thursday felt worse. Friday, I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed, couldn't do anything. My wife came home Friday night from work, and she took one look at me and she said, we're going to the ER. Well, I didn't want to go to the ER, so she did convince me to go to the urgent care place around the corner. Fortunately, it was around the corner, because when my wife and my son helped me in the door, the doctors and the staff in the little urgent care place did two things to immediately save my life. One was they slapped oxygen on me, and the second one was they dialed 911 for the ambulance. The ambulance took me to the ER. The docs in the ER said, you are in big trouble. They put the little pulse oxygen meter on my finger. It's supposed to read high 90s, almost 100. It's reading the amount of oxygen in your blood. And the mine read 82. The doc said, you are in big trouble. So they admitted me right away. In fact, early that next morning, that was Friday night, early Saturday morning, they woke me up like 3 o'clock in the morning and said, no, this isn't working either, so we got to do something right away. So they shipped me right away to the ICU, put me in the ICU. There I stayed for 6 days, 10 days total in the hospital. And the long and short of it was when the doctors actually came to my wife twice to prepare her, because they did not think I was going to make it. Now, fortunately, I did make it. But there are a couple of things that I learned from that experience. The first thing that I learned was I am never, ever going to treat just the symptoms of the problem. Because that's what that PA told me to do, didn't she? She said, go home and continue to treat what? The symptoms, not the underlying cause, not the virus itself. She said, treat the symptoms. So I am no longer going to treat the symptoms of anything, whether it's my health or anything else. I need to dig down beneath the surface to figure out what's really going on. And see, that's what companies look for. They look for people who can dig down beneath that surface, clear away the junk, because there's going to be a lot of excuses on top. There's going to be a lot of, well, we did this because of this, and you got to clear away all that and figure out what's the root cause. Now, fortunately, there's some great tools for root cause analysis. The first one, it's the easiest, and I find it one of the best tools to use. The first one is called the 5 whys. Called the 5 whys. It's a very simple process, because here's all you do. You ask why 5 times. That's all. That's all you do is you ask why 5 times. You're going to be like a little 2-year-old, to his parents, why, daddy, right? I did this, I was a consultant. I was hired by a large doctor's office, a medical practice, many different doctors in the practice, large building, looks like a hospital. But I was hired to come in and do a little bit of figuring out what was going on. The issue was that the medical supplies from the supply depot that they had in the medical office there, the medical supplies were arriving late to the exam rooms. When the nurse or the doctor called from the exam room, it would take a long time for those medical supplies to come to the exam room. So they hired me to come figure out what the problem was. But they told me what they thought the problem was. And the problem was Charlie. Charlie was the guy who delivered the medical supplies from the medical depot that they had, the closet that they stored all these supplies in. He was the person who brought the supplies to the exam room. I said, he's always late. He just kind of is a laggard. He's late. We think it's him. So I said, okay, well, let's just see. So I started asking questions. Well, why is Charlie late? Well, he takes a long time. Well, why does he take a long time? Well, because this, and I said, well, why this? And the further down this chain we got, the further into the whys we got, we figured out that the supply depot was all the way the other end of the building from the exam rooms. The exam rooms were on one end of the building, and the medical supply depot was on the other end of the building. Again, it was a very large building. And it wasn't the fact that Charlie was late, it was the fact that it was a long ways. So all we did was ask why 5 times, and we figured out it was too far away. So what was the solution? Yes, move the supply closet, move the supply depot closer to the exam rooms. And you know what the beautiful thing was? There were a couple of beautiful things that came out of it. Number one, I got paid. I got paid to tell them that. I just asked 5 questions. That's all I did. And the second thing was it was an easy fix for them. So being able to figure out what the root cause is going to be invaluable to you and to your organization. There's another root cause analysis tool. It's called Ishikawa or fishbone analysis. You might have seen it. It looks like a fishbone. It was named after the Japanese man who invented it. And what you do with that fishbone analysis is from that main trunk, okay, Charlie's late, right? Supplies for the supply depot are late to the exam rooms. Well, what are all the possible causes? So coming off that fishbone, right, are the possible causes. So we can kind of group them in categories, and then from those categories say, well, is it the machine that he's bringing it on, the cart, and maybe the problem is the wheels on the cart. That'd be one branch of it. Maybe the other one is it's a small cart, so he has to make multiple trips. So the idea is to figure out what are all the possible root causes. Dig down beneath the surface. Start asking questions, whether it's 5 whys or using the fishbone diagram or many, many other tools. What's the real problem? Because we can't afford, organizations can't afford today to just treat the surface issues. Because guess what? That problem is going to come back. So using those root cause analysis tools is going to be invaluable.